Welcome to Bat Therapy, mental health through the lens of comics and film. Be a fly on the wall or a bat in the cave, listening in on a friendship built out of a love for talking Batman, comics, and the everyday struggle to achieve mental health and happiness.
We're your hosts, clinical psychologist Dr. Amelia Brown and educator and comic aficionado Keaton Hopkins. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and social media and find our Patreon at patreon.com/battherapy.
This podcast is about providing education and understanding and is not a replacement for mental health treatment or support. If you're needing help, go to bat-therapy.com for resources. All right, so for our next psychology spotlight, I'm actually really excited about this one because I've been nerding out by myself like a total dork about it, and now I can actually talk to someone about it. We are talking about the psychology of hot ones.
Hot ones.
Yes.
That's the YouTube where they eat the hot wings with all the sauces.
Yeah. So essentially, for anyone who isn't familiar with hot ones, you should totally check it out. And in fact, one of the reasons we timed it right now is there was a recent Hot Ones promoting Deadpool and Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which is amazing. It was great. Funny. It's so funny. It's great. So it's an interview that's done by Sean Evans. He's the interviewer. And while he interviews people, you go through a challenge of eating hot wings, and it gets increasingly spicy. And so you have these celebrities who are trying to answer interview questions while also eating spicy wings, which sounds super corny and very YouTube-y. It's a huge hit, and it's psychologically genius. And I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, because I guess like the idea is almost like trying to take a test when you're stressed about something else or when there's outside stressors, right? Is that what?
Oh, for sure. So yeah, there's a really interesting piece of this. It helps sometimes, and actually sometimes in therapy, I use this, where sometimes you can almost be too focused on a task and you can inhibit yourself, or you can hold yourself back or almost be too focused. Or in the case of these interviews, you have celebrities who are very well practiced and they've got their boilerplate answers.
Right.
But yeah, you're throwing a wrench into it. You're dividing someone's attention, and you're not only dividing their attention, but it's not only like having them do something interesting and different to spice things up, but you're literally spicing it up, right? So you're doing something that not only is stress to them, but it also actually hits on the pain receptors in the brain.
Right.
So not only are you doing something new and different, but you're toying with their brain chemistry in a way that is just incredibly genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so interesting. Like there's the genius of using the spicy foods in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know how much is Sean Evans versus his team and them collaborating to come up with this, but my theory is Sean Evans, the guy who interviews everyone, would be a fantastic therapist.
Yeah.
He's just, because it's not, you couldn't just put anyone in his chair, feed them spicy foods, and come out with the result that they have.
Right.
And so that's another thing that I find really intriguing. It's not just doing the spicy wings, but how Sean Evans leads them through the spicy wings. Yeah. It's really, really cool.
And one thing I really like about him too, that's different from a lot of other interviewers, he doesn't seem like the kind of person that's trying to catch you in something. Like it's an interview where he legitimately wants to know like interesting things about you. He's not trying to like drudge up like bad memories or beef with other people, or like he's not trying to gossip.
No.
Right?
He
like
feels kind of like your role in the podcast.
Yeah.
Where you're not here just to, okay, let's put this person here to get Amelia to do it. No, you're genuinely interested.
Yeah.
You're curious. You think of really interesting questions. You want to delve deeper. You want to get to know. And I totally agree with you. He has the same sort of presence. And pair that up with going through something really stressful. and is literally making your brain go haywire because you got your pain receptors going off. Then you have your endorphins and some dopamine going off. So, like, some of them
But
talk about
it's
this like high that they have, and their brains are going haywire. And
yeah,
then you have this caring, curious person sitting in front of you,
right.
leading you through actually a lot of times questions they usually don't get
Yeah,
because like you said he is very curious and wants to learn and get to
yeah.
know them better. Yeah,
But at the same time too, it is a stressor. But the thing that gets me with hot ones, like if I had the opportunity to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat because there's different. I feel so. For example, I'm terrified of roller coasters. I will not ride a roller coaster.
I don't like roller coasters
It's the
either.
giant, it's that impending climb to the top that's like making
Yeah,
you
why do
your
people
life
like
flash
that?
before your eyes and then the super drop. Like
Yeah,
I just can't do it. Right.
don't like it.
And so
Mm-mm.
that stressor, like if someone asked me, like, hey, want to ride a roller coaster? Hell no. Don't even ask. Don't even ask. Like it would be to get me on a roller coaster, you would have to be giving me at least $1,000. At least 1,000.
I
At
don't think you have to pay me that much.
at least no, it would be 1,000. Like it would be at least 1,000 because if what if I die? Like it's
So
like
I
if a
think
thousand
you're
dollars
telling
was next to an alligator, I
yeah.
might reach for the $1,000. If it's $100, hell no, right? But like with hot, and I say that because hot ones, it's one of those things where going into it, I see it as like, yeah, it would be stressful, but also this is going to be fun. Like that's the
You're
thing.
intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
difference though. It's like this is going to be fun. I know I'm going to walk out of this okay. Like
Yeah.
this
The next day,
I know
who
this is something
knows?
that's going to pass, right? Like
Yeah,
yeah, it's going to
literally.
right, it's going to pass.
Like
And
lava.
so
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
different because it's a stressor but it's also fun.
Yeah. So first off, it's well, I mean, you can group roller coasters arguably in this as well, just not for you personally, but
People have died on roller coasters.
there's different kinds of pain, and so there's this like adventurous piece to spice and the flavor, and some people actually really want to know what are the different flavors and how do they taste, and yeah, it is something that can be fun but bring a little bit of anxiety, and once again, like, so a lot of celebrities are very well versed into how to maneuver a lot of things, but this tips them off course. And so I was actually reading something. There's not much out there
Mhm.
specifically about hot ones and spiciness and
Mhm.
psychology. So I'm having to pull different pieces together. But
That's
I
why
did
we're
see
here.
one thing that, yeah, that's why we're here. I saw one thing that was really interesting about how one of the reasons we might really like to see it is because there's this like power differential and pedestal that celebrities are on. And so something like these activities makes them human, obliterates
Breaks them
that,
down.
yeah, breaks them down, right? And then, on the side of the celebrity, some of them might like something
Mhm.
that breaks them down a little bit and makes things interesting, right? They probably get stuck doing the same interviews over and over again. It stands out because of the spice, but now he's getting people that don't like spice because of him, because of the interview piece and the like him caring piece that you were talking about. Here's another thing about Sean Evans though, and um why I'm just convinced that in another life, in another
Mhm.
in a different multiverse, he is a therapist. So, okay, you have all this spicy food and you're doing the interview and da 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 da. Some people are loving the ride, other people are like us on the roller coaster. So
Mhm.
take well, Hugh Jackman seemed to be struggling a bit more with doing the spice. There's like really popular gifs and memes from when Jennifer Lawrence did it, and she's just repeating like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" Because she's just getting hit with it so much. But everyone comes out of it actually loving him.
Idris Elba's is really good too.
Idris Elba's is so
It's
good.
so good.
Yes, that's one of my favorites too. Yeah, I love that one. So there are some people who it's really awful, and remember that episode where I talked about kryptonite and how much does kryptonite actually affect how much Clark Kent loves Lois Lane?
Yeah.
Or excuse me, not Lois Lane, Lana. So Sean Evans, I think in his reactions to the person across
Hmm.
the table, he actually probably endears himself to them in a way where a lot of it has to do with who he is,
Hmm.
but it might also help that they're going through all this turmoil. And then you have this like calm, caring presence who is literally matching and mirroring.
Right.
I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but the more you see, the more you notice whatever drinks they request.
Hmm.
First off, they give them whatever they request to like help them with the spice. That's what he has too.
Hmm.
Whatever pace they take, how much they bite off, how much reaction that they're experiencing, he adjusts how much he shares from his own reaction. He tries to really pace it with the person and match what they're doing. And I think that that is another really fantastic part of what's going on. Because you could put someone through the spice
Hmm.
and even ask him great questions, but they could come out of it saying, yeah, he's a great interviewer, but not be as endeared toward him as a
Right.
person, except he has that ability
Right.
to just really empathize and mirror what's going on across from him, which is actually something we as therapists do all the time.
Yeah. Just to make the patients more comfortable.
Exactly. Making people more comfortable. It's a way of also, there are a lot of different ways that we can empathize and help someone see that they're seen, that they're cared for,
Hmm.
that they're being listened to. And especially if you're anxious, you want someone who's going to be responsive. And he does that from the get-go. And it sounds like his team, even before they get there, and just making sure they have what they need. And he's really good at reading even how people might be.
Right.
He had a recent episode where, oh gosh, I'm totally blanking who it was. Oh, Ariana Grande.
Hmm.
She killed it. It was like nothing was
She
happening. She
she just beasted every
apologized.
wing.
She beasted it and she apologized for how well she did.
Okay. I
He was
love that.
experiencing it more than her. And so what was interesting, there was this one little snippet where he mentioned, she like apologized and stuff. He actually mentions, because she was shocked. He was like, I thought this might happen. And he made a little comment about just how people come into the room, how prepared they are, how they react. He's paying, him and his team, they're paying attention to all those things so that they can figure out how a person's going to ride the wave of this really different interview.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love it. I'm a total nerd about it. I think it's psychological
It's
genius.
really interesting. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I definitely I've actually looked up like you can buy the sauce sets.
Oh
And
god, I think Bill has a few in some game or something
I've
downstairs.
definitely thought about like doing it just to like have it. And I'm not gonna lie, every time the reason I'll tell you exactly why I don't watch it all the time. I love wings already. Every time I watch an episode of Hot Ones, I immediately want wings. Like it's one of those things like whatever
That's
I was gonna have for dinner, I'm now disappointed because I just watched this and now I
and
want
yeah.
wings.
No,
Yeah.
I totally
Like
get that.
every
I
single
totally get
time.
that. So I love wings. I'm not a spicy food fan.
Ooh.
I would probably be the Jennifer Lawrence who like there are memes out there about how terrible and I would actually be scared that I wouldn't finish. The only reason I think I would potentially be able to finish something like that is how many like I don't I didn't watch it earlier on. I haven't seen one of the episodes where someone did not finish.
Yeah.
And so I think the only thing that would get me through, to be honest, would
Yeah.
be not wanting to be that person.
And see, I've never like I love spicy food. It's
Mm.
one of those things though where like whenever I have the opportunity to order something really spicy, because I do enjoy it, but it's kind of like an adventure. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna do this, I don't want to do anything afterwards, right? Like if this is the beginning of like a long night, yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm gonna shy away from spicy food. Like if we're meeting up here and then going bar hopping after
Yeah.
the spiciest wing, no, I'm just gonna I'm gonna go honey
That is the
barbecue.
adventure for your night.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go honey
I respect that.
barbecue, and then if I have a day off work and it's lunchtime, I'll grab those spicy ones, bring them home with me. go on my adventure with just me, Netflix, and spice.
There you go.
And so yeah, I definitely will plan it out, especially if it's gonna be like super spicy, like something super spicy. Like if
Yeah.
I get like Thai
See,
food at the highest level, like yeah.
oh yeah, I don't go there. See, my whole thing, I used to be able to take no spice. Then I had my graduate school roommate and she would make things and sometimes there was some spice in there, but she tempered it down because she knew I wasn't a spice person. So I got used to that. And now I live in Texas. So I like to say that I can handle a Texas medium, which is a hot in some places
Hmm.
in the United States. And but it's for me, I now have things where I miss the spice if it's not there.
Yeah,
So I now understand it. But I'm definitely one of those people that I get angry if it seems like it's so hot that it takes away from the food itself. Like I want it to
I feel
add to
that.
the experience
I
rather
feel
than
that.
be the experience.
Yeah,
Except for hot ones. Like hot ones, that's different.
yeah,
It's supposed to be the experience that you burn off your tongue.
absolutely. But yeah, I do love that show, and I just love how the spice makes barriers come down. Like it's one of those
Yes.
things where they're just like, let me hurry up and answer this question so I can get back to this pain that I'm feeling.
Yeah. So when it
It's so
comes to
good.
pain, yeah, they I mean, they talk about this specifically with pain, but you can talk about with other things too, but yeah, you only have so much attention. And even when it comes to pain, like, you could have a hangnail that's been bothering you all day, but then you nail yourself with a hammer. You're not thinking about that hangnail anymore, right? You're
Hmm.
feeling a lot of this other thing. And so it you're so right, where there's so much going on with what's happening with their body that they're struggling to answer the questions,
Yeah.
but they're amazing. Honestly, I feel like I just wouldn't be able to answer some of the questions. But they find their way through, but in doing that, they're not as eloquent as they usually are. They're going to be getting more straight to the point. They're going to not sugarcoat things necessarily as much, not be thinking through it as much. And once again, they can trust they've seen with Sean Evans, he like you said, he's not malicious about these things. He's
Right.
not the person trying to figure out, oh, how do I get the biggest news?
Right.
He's actually asking these really interesting questions. And so put those two things together, someone where they can let their guard down and trust them.
Hmm.
And then they do this thing. Yeah, it is really interesting to see what answers he gets from them. And I love when they too are just he also asks questions they're not asked. So they have to think
Hmm.
about it.
Right.
So those are
Exactly.
cool too. You combine the 2 together and it's like, "Oh my god, I gotta think," while my brain is just, like, firing endorphins and, like, pain and yeah, it's so cool.
I love it. I absolutely do love it. I really want to know the difference between, because the last one they do, I think it's called The Bomb.
Oh, it's not the last I think they usually put it, like, 7th or 8th or
But that
something.
one, that's the one where it's just like it hits people like a brick wall. Like I just
Yeah.
that's what I was sitting there. I was sitting there looking it up. I was like, what is it called? Is it called The Bomb? Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
that one. Every time they eat that one, that's when it's like
Mhm.
it's about to get real.
Unless you're Ariana Grande,
And
and
just
then
built
you're too
different. Yeah.
badass.
Just built different. It's just it is what it is. This is just light work for me. I love it. But like honestly, it kind of reminds me of someone that's like when you go through, like if you've been through enough stressors to the point that you're just like
Just
been
another day
here,
in the park.
done that. It's like honestly, it's just like if you between 2016 and now, think about how many unprecedented times we've lived through.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. Someone said, hey, the murder hornets are back. And it's like, really? Where? Utah? Okay. Let me know
Alright,
if
that's far
they
enough away. Yeah.
get past the Mississippi. I'll go grab some raid
Well,
from Lowe's. But like it's one of those things you get used to the surroundings and the times. And so it's one of those things. If you're
so
used to spicy food like 24/7,
So
this
there
is
are some people, right, who do well because they're more acclimated to spicy food. Although some people don't do as well as they think they're going to because you hit the bomb and they purposefully have some spicy ones that are just ridiculous that you're only doing if it's some sort of challenge. It's not actually consumed on a regular basis.
yeah.
And so They can get some of those people, but you're right. There is, what are you acclimated to? So, for example, there are all these running jokes. You go to certain restaurants, and depending on if you look like you're from that country that the restaurant's from, like Thai food, for example, if you don't look like you're from there, they're gonna dial back the spice. Same with like Indian places or whatnot, and it's for a reason. Certain people, depending on where you've grown up, you're accustomed to different levels of spice or other flavors and things.
Right.
So there's definitely that piece. And then there's also just different brains, different bodies are going to react to spice differently. So just like anything else, I mean,
Right.
in general, you're going to, it's got the same stuff in it. It's going to hit the brain in certain ways. But, some people, you see them have like this high. So the Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, at one point they turn to each other and they're like, "Ooh, you feeling that? Yeah, me too." And they're like, "This is like shrooms." I think they said something like that. And so in terms of who hits that euphoria stage and when, some people, their bodies might dissociate a bit more, and so they're able to just separate from
Yeah.
certain types of pain experiences, or
Yeah.
you never know, there are these variations that happen. And once again, Sean Evans is the person, and his team, you can tell in the background sometimes, like they're paying attention too, but like
Right.
they're paying attention for how does a person react,
Hmm.
and they're making adjustments based on that. So no matter what, you tend to get something really entertaining and something that I think everyone tends to be happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
His team's happy with it, the celebrity's happy with it, and we're happy with it.
Well, because it's entertaining, but also it's always genuine.
Yes. Ah, the genuine. See, yeah, it is. It's kind of like it's weird to say. It's kind of like a hug. Yeah, it's like this nice, genuine moment with people you don't get to see in that vein, and at the same time, there's a lot of spice and crying and tears and sometimes cussing. Thanks for nerding out with us. I'm clinical psychologist Dr. Amelia Brown.
And I'm educator and comic aficionado Keaton Hopkins. Check out my TV and movie reviews on YouTube at Team JVS. Check out our website at bat-therapy.com, our Bat Therapy YouTube channel, and follow us on social media. And don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/battherapy. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.